Hello, everybody. This is CJ Wiley with more adventures on the road. Man, I've been out having a lot of adventures. I played a little over a week ago. I had a big money match, put up 16,000, and it came down to really one key game that I should have lost 16,000, but something happened, and I went from being it looked like I was out of it, to coming back and not only saving that 16,000 but winning an additional 8. So it came up with a friend last night. He was talking about, how did you learn how to play under pressure like that? And I'm like, man, my whole life has been I've been put in pressure situations, and there's many of them, but I'm just going to tell you a few off the top of my head. And like in pool, when I was 12 years old, I played in the regional finals. This was in northern Missouri, and there was a bar tavern league that I think there was probably 10 cities involved. Smaller towns. This wasn't a big deal, but it came down to one tournament to see who won, and I was, like I said, I was 12 years old, and I played in the finals with this, naturally a much older man, and I remember still how nervous I was, but I liked it, even at 12 years old, and I played really well. I wish I had that on video. I'd like to see how well I actually did play, because I didn't have access to a lot of great players like some of the young up-and-coming ones do now. And of course YouTube videos and everything where you could see the only thing I could watch was ABC Wide World of Sports, Minnesota Fats, Willie Mosconi, Alan Hopkins, Mike Siegel, Earl Strickland, Steve Miserak. I mean, those were the guys that I could see because they were on TV, and I really wanted to be like them, and that was my dream. So it was really a big deal for me to end up playing Steve Miserak when I first came on tour, and we played a match in Reno that came down to 10-10, and I ran the last rack in less than a minute, and it was the best-selling video of the year, I was told, on AccuStats video productions. So, but I won that tournament when I was 12, and then the first time I really gambled for anything significant, I was 15, and I was in Quincy, Illinois, playing a man named Fergie at the place, and he got me betting $50 a game. I think he was right. That put a lot of pressure on me when I was 15, but he wasn't a great player, and I was pretty talented, so I ended up winning that match. But again, that $50 a game was like a milestone for me. And then I started going to Columbia, Missouri, and gambling at the Columbia Billiard Center with a lot of guys there, and went on the road with Craig Bickford and Rusty Brandemeyer and Gary Lettman. We took some trips together. A lot of you know him, and we always did well. But probably, the next big milestone in pressure was I played in the finals of the World Series of Tavern Pool when I was 21, and this was in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. And there were 756 players, and it came down to me and a guy named Bill Eigel, I think was his name. And I remember I had to go to the bathroom 5 times. It felt like I must have drank a gallon of water or something. But it was just nerves. I just, and it comes out in different ways. But that was my 21-year-old experience. But I played super good in that match and won it. And each time I went over those milestones, the pressure got more, was more intense, but I think I was able to handle it better and better. But, it takes practice, just like anything else, If you're not putting yourself in pressure situations, you're not going to play well under pressure. I mean, just like anything else. So the next one that really stands out in my mind was in the finals of the Moscone Cup. I was the captain and player in 1996, and it came down to Earl Strickland and I playing partners against Steve Davis and Ronnie O'Sullivan in London. These two are the best snooker players, some of the best snooker players to ever live. And of course, they were big home country favorites. So I had to run the last rack to win that. And I don't know if there was more pressure with the fans all rooting against me in London, or Earl Strickland as my partner rooting for me. Earl will put some pressure on you, He's quite a character. Earl and I got a lot of Earl stories too, but I'll start telling some of them. They're classic. Earl, love him or hate him, he's a pool genius, and a lot of what he says may sound at first unorthodox, unusual, maybe a little bit crazy, but there's a method to his madness, and I can always discern what he's really trying to communicate. And it's just, if you're not a professional player and you haven't been walking in his shoes or somebody's shoes like him, he is extremely hard to understand. And a lot of people jump to the conclusions that he's not a good guy or something, but he actually is. He's a very I've seen him do some things. I mean, he's got a big heart, and he will help people, but he's also an extreme competitor. So winning that match was a big deal for me. And that was in 1996, and I was the player of the year that particular year, and ended up winning the ESPN World Open Championships, also the Battle of the Sexes, and the World Doubles Championships with Laurie John Oganowski at the time. So we were the doubles champions, all on ESPN, so it was a pretty big deal. But the most pressure, at least the one that affected me the most, wasn't playing pool. It was playing golf. I was friends with Hank Haney before he was Tiger Woods' coach, and he invited me over to Texarkana to a grand opening of his, I think it was called the Ranch golf course. And Mark O'Meara was there, who was Tiger Woods' best friend, and he, if you're a golfer, you'll know he won the Masters and the British Open in the same year. So he's like one of the best golfers that ever lived. Super nice guy. But Hank picked me to play with Mark, which it was funny because there was a billionaire there named T. Boone Pickens, and I heard that he was a little aggravated that, he's a billionaire. And instead, this pool player was selected to play with Mark O'Meara, and we played with two other bankers that were also investors in Pebble Beach, they told me, and they were all talking about the price of jet fuel, and they all had private jets, and I really didn't have much to contribute there. But here's what happened. There's like 200 people around watching us, and I had never played golf in front of a bunch of people. I'd played pool, obviously, in front of millions, but not golf. So I get up to hit the first shot, playing with Mark O'Meara and the other two guys. Crowds all around us, like 20 deep, all the way around. I get up, I tee up my ball, I put the club down, I looked down to where I was aiming. It was a par 4. I looked back at the golf ball, and the golf ball disappeared. I still don't know what happened, but I mean, it absolutely just vanished. And I got all these people watching me, and I'm like freaking out inside, and I just pulled back and got back up on the shot and tried to act like, nothing was going on. Got back down on the ball, put my club behind the ball, looked down, looked back at the golf ball, and it disappeared again. It just was gone, vanished. There's something that happened. I was so nervous and out of my element that's just what happened. Well, I knew the golf ball was there, and I had to do something. So I just pretty much took like a practice swing and hit the ball. Not well, pretty bad. I hit it about 190 yards maybe down, but the center of the fairway. So now we go down there, About half the crowd follows us down. Now I got to hit my second shot in front of a bunch of people. This time the golf ball doesn't disappear, but I hit it pretty bad. Now I'm like, 60 feet, or more than that, probably about 40 yards from the green. So I hit my third shot, and it got on the green, but I was probably 40 foot away from the pin. So on my fourth shot, I hit the putt, and it went, and it went, and it curved, and it went up and down, and went right straight in the hole for a par. So that was the most brutal par that I ever made in my life. It started out, I couldn't even see the golf ball, and ended with like a 40-foot putt. And that's kind of how the day went. Mark O'Mara kept talking about, boy, you pool players have a great short game, because I kept hitting the flag stick, but that generally isn't true. My golf game isn't near what my pool game is, but I learned a lot with Hank Haney, and I really appreciated him. He actually put me in his book about Tiger Woods called The Big Miss. If you ever get a chance, that's a great book about Tiger and his relationship with him, and kind of the inside of how Tiger is. And great memories. So that was probably the most pressure I ever felt. I've got several other things, but those are just kind of some funny stories and kind of how it progresses. And like I said, if you want to learn how to play under pressure, you have to put yourself in those situations. You don't want to be comfortable. If you're comfortable, you're probably not going to really progress. It's kind of like working out. If you never get sore and you never get winded and your muscles aren't really pushed, then you're probably not going to get many results. So the more you can do that, and I'm not saying like gamble real high, but I think you should play for something. And like I can play for nominal amounts of money and still try real hard because I have to, because I don't get a chance to gamble like I was talking about at the beginning for like 16 or 20,000, or even though who knows, maybe I will start doing that a little bit more. I've got a lot of people that want me to do that, so we'll see. Anyway, this is CJ Wiley. If you want to know more about me, my stories, my techniques, systems, and how I learned what I learned, and sharing it with everybody that's interested on how to play the game and bring out the perfection of the game. That's what I've always tried to do, is bring out the perfection of the game. The perfection is already there, but through the understanding of high-level fundamentals and how it all connects together. And that's what I know better than anything, is how it all connects. You can use the game as self-expression and play as well as you want to. The sky's the limit. But if your fundamentals aren't good and you don't really know how to go down on the ball like a champion player, then it's going to be pretty much impossible to reach your full potential. So anyway, till next time, this is CJ Wiley, over and out.